The stars had long since forgotten Cowron 7. Once a bustling mining moon, now it was just another graveyard of dust and decay, orbiting a gas giant like a silent, spinning corpse. Peter crouched in the wreckage of a long-dead research outpost, his flashlight flickering against rusted metal and frost-covered terminals. He brushed away decades of grime from a shattered console and pried open a small metallic box. Inside, a crystalline shard, no larger than his palm. Alien markings pulsed faintly on its surface. Ancient, curved glyphs, too elegant to be human. "Rebecca," he whispered into his comm. "I found it." Static answered, then a buzz. "Define it, Pete. Another cursed rock or something real this time?" Peter smiled. He loved her sarcasm, even if it stung sometimes. "It's a map. I'm sure of it." There was a pause. Then her voice changed, quieter, sharper. "I'll prep the ship." An hour later, back aboard the Vanguard, the three of them stood around a holographic table in the ship's dim central cabin. The shard hovered above the surface, projecting a shimmering star chart. Rebecca adjusted her visor, her bionic eye flickering as she scanned the data. "These coordinates aren't in any known system. It's all really old. This predates the Federation, maybe even the Galactic Uprising." David leaned in, his voice a soft rumble. "There are legends of a vault built by the Micros Empire. Before their fall, they hoarded unimaginable wealth. Gold, tech, even knowledge. Then they vanished." Peter nodded. "And this map points to it. The Vault of Micros." Rebecca scoffed. "You realize how many scavengers have died chasing ghost stories like this?" "Yeah," Peter said quietly. "But how many had a real map?" News spreads fast in the void, especially when greed listens. On a distant warship cloaked in darkness, a hunter alien known as Varkthuan snarled as he watched the intercepted transmission. The Kornek were not subtle creatures. 8 feet tall, scaled, with jagged bone armor fused to their skin. "The humans seek the vault," growled Varkthuan. "They are not worthy." Another hunter hissed. "Then we take it before they do." Their ship veered off course toward the coordinates, silent as a knife in the night. Back on the Vanguard, preparations were underway. Supplies, calibrations, neural charts. The crew worked in rhythm, unspoken, but bonded by a thread of growing urgency. Rebecca cornered Peter while David was in the NAV bay. "Tell me the truth. Why are you chasing this? It's not just about gold." Peter paused. His voice was low. "My father died in the Scourge Wars. He was promised a future that never came. People like him, like us, we build the stars but never get to own them." She studied him. For once, her eyes softened. "So this is about making it right?" "No," he said. "It's about proving we belong out here. Not just surviving, thriving." By the time they launched, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. They shot through slipspace in a trail of blue fire, their ship cutting through hyperspace like a spear. Rebecca monitored the flux. David kept his eyes on the stellar drift. And Peter, he stood by the viewport, staring into the endless black, where legends were born and swallowed whole. But they weren't alone. In the shadows of a decaying asteroid field just beyond the wormhole exit, the Kornek ship waited, silent, scanning. Varkthuan clicked his claws. "Let them lead us to the vault," he whispered. "Then we cleanse them." As the stars bent around the Vanguard in streams of light, Peter felt a tremor in his chest. Not fear, not quite. Something older. Hope, maybe. Or destiny. He touched the crystal shard, now embedded in the ship's NAV core. The glyphs pulsed, as if alive. Rebecca looked back from her console. "You ready, Captain?" Peter nodded. "Let's go find the last treasure of the stars." But none of them knew what waited on the other side. Not the traps. Not the enemies. Not the truth. And certainly not what the vault really held. Trials in the void. The jump ended in chaos. The Vanguard screamed back into real space, trailing blue fire as it burst out of the wormhole. Sparks flew across the cockpit as alarms howled, and Rebecca cursed, fingers flying over the console. Grav flux surge. That wormhole's barely stable, shutting down NAV stabilizers. Peter braced against the bulkhead. "David!" Where are we? The navigator's voice was unnervingly calm. Dead center of the Black Crescent. Uncharted space. Closest star's light takes 10 years to get here. Outside the viewport, space was not silent. It was ominous. Fractured moons floated like shattered bones, and titanic derelict ships drifted aimlessly. This was a graveyard of lost expeditions. Lovely vacation spot, Rebecca muttered. Peter frowned. Stay sharp. This is exactly where we're supposed to be. They spent the next 2 days mapping the region and decoding the route deeper into the system. The vault wasn't on any planet they could detect. It was hidden in layers, cloaked in misdirection, scattered signals, and gravitational riddles only a Micro's AI could have conceived. Rebecca worked non-stop, her bionic implants glowing as she deciphered signals buried in ancient code. She looked paler than usual, shadows under her eyes. Don't burn yourself out, Peter told her as he handed over a protein bar. She didn't look up. This thing's talking to itself across dimensions, Peter. It's like chasing ghosts through a mirror. And she finally looked at him. And I'm winning. David discovered the anomaly on day 3. A spatial tear, like a scar in the fabric of space, concealed behind an asteroid cluster. When they steered closer, the ship's hull began to tremble. Peter narrowed his eyes. What is that? David's voice was low. A folded gate. Micro's tech. It leads somewhere, but it's locked. Rebecca bit her lip. Not for long. What none of them knew was that something else had followed them through the wormhole. Silent, methodical, and cloaked in stealth fields, the Kornak warship drifted just beyond their scanner range. Varkthuin stood before a massive hollow projection of a human's vessel. His claw traced the outline of the vanguard like a predator studying prey. They are unlocking the path, he growled. Let them bleed first. Then we strike. Behind him, his warriors hissed in approval, weapons gleaming in the dim red light. That night, if it could even be called night in a place without time, Peter stood alone in the observation deck. The crystal map shard floated in its containment field, pulsing faintly. He watched it glow and felt something deep, primal, stirring in his chest. This wasn't just about gold anymore. It was about discovery, about proving that humanity wasn't just another short-lived species scratching at the edges of greater empires. They could matter. Rebecca's voice broke the silence. You ever wonder if we're the bad guys? He turned to her. What do you mean? She shrugged. We're chasing someone else's treasure, breaking into a vault that was never ours. What if it's not treasure at all? Peter sighed. Then we deal with it. Together. She stared at him for a long moment, and then nodded. The gate's opening tomorrow. Get some sleep, Captain. The next day, they activated the folded gate. It opened with a flash of blinding white, an unstable corridor of twisting geometry and swirling energy. Peter hesitated for half a second. Then he said the words that would change everything. Punch it. The vanguard dove in. The moment they crossed the threshold, everything changed. Lights flickered. Time twisted. Rebecca screamed as the AI flooded with data far beyond normal human limits. David fought to keep the ship on course. Peter held onto the shard, which now blazed with alien symbols, projecting new coordinates, final coordinates. Then silence. The ship emerged into orbit above a planet no chart had ever named. Green with massive jungles. Its surface glittered with strange metal ruins, all circling a massive golden temple that pierced the sky like a spear. The vault. But even before they could marvel, Rebecca swore violently. We've got company. A second ship dropped from folded space, sleek, black, and monstrous. The Kornak had arrived. Varkthuin's voice boomed over the comms, translated and cold. You have served your purpose, humans. Stand down, and we may let you crawl away. Peter muted the channel. Any weapons online? Rebecca shook her head. Not after that gate jump. We're blind and defenseless for at least 4 hours. David leaned back. Then we don't fight in the sky. Peter nodded grimly. We fight on the ground. They began descending toward the vault, racing to reach it before their enemies could. And as the jungle rose to meet them and the golden temple gleamed in the sun, Peter's heart pounded with a mixture of dread and determination. This wasn't a treasure hunt anymore. It was a war, blood and betrayal. The jungle was alive with whispers. As the vanguard settled into a hidden valley beneath the golden spire of the vault, its landing struts hissed against the soft moss. Strange birds shrieked in the canopy above, and vines twisted across ruins that hadn't seen light in 1,000 years. Peter stepped out first, rifle in hand, scanning the tree-line. Eyes sharp. The Corneck won't wait long. Behind him, Rebecca adjusted a portable jammer on her back, while David unfolded a collapsible Pathfinder drone. The vault's entrance, looming hundreds of meters above the jungle floor, sat halfway up the massive spire, protected by sheer cliffs and glyph-covered stone. Signal distortions off the charts, Rebecca muttered, checking her readings. Whatever's in that temple doesn't want to be found. Peter gave her a look. Too bad we're persistent. They began to climb, dodging traps and scaling ancient platforms. The micros had built for giants, or at least for beings unafraid of gravity. Peter led the way, his gloves sparking faintly against the magnetic gripstones. Rebecca climbed with quiet determination, sweat beading on her forehead, and David, silent as always, watched their backs. About halfway up, a glyph lit up beneath Rebecca's boot. The stone groaned. A pulse of red light surged across the wall. "Move!" she shouted, leaping as a shockwave blasted the ledge behind them. Chunks of the cliff shattered, nearly taking David with them. Peter caught his arm just in time. They scrambled to safety, breathing hard. "Think they'll hear that?" David said, half smiling. Peter looked to the sky. The Corneck ship had begun its descent. By the time they reached the temple gates, the jungle below was on fire. The Corneck had landed, and they weren't subtle. Varkthuin stood atop a fallen stone idol, barking commands to his warriors. The beasts fanned out, armed with plasma cleavers and shock lances, cutting a path toward the vault like a knife through skin. Back at the entrance, Rebecca hacked the ancient console. Glyphs spun across the stone in wild, disjointed patterns. She worked fast, her brow furrowed in concentration. Peter looked out over the jungle, his face tight. "We've got maybe 10 minutes. "I need 7, she snapped. David checked his rifle. "Then I'll buy you 10. Peter glanced at him. "You sure?" David just nodded. "I've got a debt to pay." Before Peter could ask, he was already gone, vanishing into the trees like a shadow. Minutes later, the console hissed and the doors to the vault groaned open. A blast of cold air, ancient and sterile, washed over them. Peter and Rebecca stepped inside. The hallway was vast, lined with golden-laid walls and flickering starlight projections. The deeper they went, the more the technology shifted, mechanical, then biological, then something other. Peter stared at the symbols. "This place is alive." Rebecca nodded. "Some kind of quantum AI. It's watching us. Do we keep going?" She hesitated. "We've come too far not to." Back outside, the jungle screamed. David moved like a ghost through the fire and smoke, picking off Corneck scouts with surgical precision. But there were too many. He ducked behind a fallen tree, breathing hard, plasma fires scorching the earth around him. A massive figure stepped into view, Varkthuin himself. David stood, weapon raised. "You remember me?" he asked. The alien tilted its head. "You are the brother." David's jaw tightened. "He died in one of your cleansings." "He was looking for this vault, too." Varkthuin sneered. "Then he was weak, and you will join him." They charged. Inside the vault, Peter and Rebecca entered the central chamber. Gold, mountains of it, shimmering structures, coins, artifacts, enough to bankrupt entire star systems. But that wasn't what made them stop. In the center stood a pillar of light, a memory core, spinning with images of alien faces, wars, knowledge, and warnings. Rebecca stepped forward, stunned. "This isn't a treasure vault. It's a time capsule." Peter stared, realization dawning. The gold, it was bait. The vault wasn't about riches. It was a final lesson. The micros had died, trying to warn the galaxy. Their civilization fell, not because of war, but because of greed. Civil war, betrayal from within. They left the vault not to enrich others, but to show them what not to become. Rebecca looked at him. Do we take it? Peter's voice was hollow. What would that make us? Suddenly, the chamber shook. Varkthuin crashed through the inner doors, bloodied but alive. Behind him, David, wounded, barely standing. Step aside, the alien growled. The gold belongs to the strong. Peter raised his weapon, but Varkthuin was faster. He lunged, slamming Peter into a wall. Rebecca screamed and fired her sidearm, but it only staggered the beast. Peter coughed blood. The alien loomed above him. And then, David tackled Varkthuin from behind, plunging a plasma blade into the alien's throat. They crashed to the ground, struggling. A final roar. Silence. David didn't rise. Peter crawled to him, voice cracking. You didn't have to. David smiled faintly. Some debts are paid in blood. Then he was gone. Rebecca knelt beside Peter, trembling. We could still take it. The gold. Peter looked at the pillar. At David. At the flickering memories of a lost empire. No, he said. We send the message. We honor the truth. He uploaded the Micros archive to the galactic net, activating the beacon. The vault shimmered, then collapsed inward, folding space around itself. Gone. Hours later, aboard the Vanguard, Peter sat alone. The galaxy was already buzzing with the broadcast. Historians, empires, smugglers, everyone knew now. Rebecca joined him, silent. Still think we're the bad guys? He asked. She shook her head. No, we're just the ones who survived. The last light of Micros. The galaxy listened. Across fringe colonies, orbital hubs, and empire citadels, the signal from the vault of Micros spread like wildfire. Scholars wept. Warlords raged. Smugglers paused. The message wasn't about gold, war, or conquest. It was a warning. A mirror held to civilization's face. Greed devours empires. Truth is the real treasure. And yet, out in the quiet of uncharted space, the ones who found that truth mourned in silence. Peter sat on the edge of the Vanguard's observation deck, staring at the spot where the vault had been. Just empty stars now, silent witnesses to sacrifice. Rebecca approached, carrying 2 metal cups. She handed one to him without a word. It was bitter, old earth coffee concentrate. They both sipped, staring into the void. David should have been here, Peter murmured. He is, she said softly. Every time you hesitate before firing. Every time you choose truth over glory. Peter clenched the cup. He didn't deserve to die in a forgotten jungle on a forgotten planet. No, she agreed. But he chose to. For you. For all of us. The next day, the Vanguard docked at the Haven's Reach outpost, a neutral ground on the edge of civilization. Scavengers, exiles, diplomats, and traders mingled beneath flickering neon banners. Peter and Rebecca emerged from their ship as a crowd gathered. Word had spread. They were the ones who found the vault. A reporter pushed through. Captain Rains, is it true the treasure's gone? That you destroyed it? Peter's jaw tightened. The gold was never the point. Then what was? Rebecca stepped forward, voice steady. Survival, wisdom, and a warning we'd better listen to. The reporter frowned. But you could have been rich. Why walk away? Peter looked out over the crowd, then back at the stars. Because gold weighs less than guilt. And some treasures you don't take. You protect. Later, in a quiet corner of the outpost bar, a hooded figure slid into their booth. An old man, face lined with years of secrets. You did what few have ever done, he rasped. Found something true in a galaxy built on lies. Peter stared at him. And you are. The man smiled. A believer. One of many. He slid a small device across the table. A memory crystal. Micros technology. Authentic. The vault was not the end. It was the beginning. There are more fragments scattered across the stars. And those who seek them, they're already moving. Rebecca leaned in. You want us to follow the trail. I want you to finish what you started. Then he vanished into the crowd. That night, Peter stood on the Vanguard's bridge, staring at the shard left behind. It glowed softly in his hand. Rebecca joined him, folding her arms. If we go after this, it'll never end. More enemies. More danger. I know, he said. She tilted her head. Then why are you smiling? He glanced at her. Because for the first time, we're not chasing gold. We're chasing truth. They launched at dawn. The ship hummed with renewed purpose, its hull patched, its crew smaller, but stronger. As they soared into the stars, Peter recorded one final message. To those who hear this, listen well. The greatest treasure in the galaxy isn't gold or weapons. It's the chance to choose something better. We lost friends to this journey. We lost blood, but we found hope. And if we must keep walking into the unknown to preserve that, then so be it. We are human, and we will not be forgotten. He closed the channel and watched the stars stretch ahead. Rebecca sat beside him, voice soft. Where to next? Peter smiled. Wherever the truth leads. And somewhere, far away, beneath the ashes of a dead empire, a long-dormant machine flickered to life. The last guardian of a micro's legacy whispered a single word into the dark. Ready.